Um, I will quickly introduce myself and have my panelist members introduce themselves, and then we're hoping to make this one hopefully a bit more of an interactive discussion, hear from a few of you, and use it as a discussion kind of on best practices and how do you really make some of these things work in real life. But let's start with introduction. So despite the weird spelling of my name, my name is Ida Christensen. I'm an associate partner with McKinsey & Company and a core member of our risk practice. So I've spent a lot of my working hours talking to primarily banks about how do they actually make efficient risk management systems and how do they find a way to kind of bridge some of the regulatory requirements with actually just what makes business value. And I'll let my two panelists introduce themselves.
Hello. I think it's still morning, so good morning. Mesbah Haq, I'm with Capital One, and I work in the compliance and operational risk management department. And I lead process engineering initiatives. That's a broader term of process engineering within the compliance world. So the topic around the GRC, the governance risk and compliance, that's applied from our day-to-day activities within our group that impacts the corporation itself. So.
Good. I hope everyone was waiting for the lunch. So good morning, Vinod Chen. I'm a strategist, and I mostly get involved into the operational and business strategies. Main expertise are I have a diversified portfolio, like with security handling, security settlement, and pricing of that one. That bridge gap to the technology as well as operational one, where I had a part of the product development, and in the past I worked in different kind of businesses, finance primarily, and then worked on the industry like the commercial aviation, product development, and R&D, that areas.
Great. So really the topic for what we want to talk about is how do you integrate BPM into governance, risk, and compliance. A few thoughts from my side before we dive in, which is I think what we've seen. I think this is true across financial institutions in general, but particularly in the control function area when it comes to risk and compliance. I think banks are in a particularly difficult position right now, right, where there's a strong dual pressure where we see regulation intensifying, regulators are demanding more of control functions. They want to make sure that oversight is effective. There are specific additional requirements that kind of seem to hit banks on a regular basis. So you have that on one side, and then on the other side you have let's just call it a challenging economic environment, right, where a lot of banks have clearly are seeing risk going up in certain areas. They see challenges in terms of making sure that the control functions are up to snuff and to be able to deal with that. And then, of course, given the pressure on returns, no one really has the benefit of being able to just grow out of this and say let's build up the control functions until we think we provide the right oversight. Right, there's a strong pressure to it while making sure that everything is working effectively, that it's actually being done in an efficient manner as well. So how do you manage that, right? That's the real challenge that I think people are facing. How do you find a way of building these effective control functions while at the same time, managing costs and ensuring that you're doing fundamentally more with less, right? So just a couple of thought starters on that topic. And now I've showed the answer, which is going to make it a little less surprising for everyone. It actually is going to be a test of if anyone was paying attention, right, when that slide flipped through. So clearly one of the big elements in terms of doing more with less potentially could be making smart IT and technology investments. And just to give a sense of what's happening, we did a survey recently of a group of very large banks and asked them basically what were their expectations in terms of how much money they would have to spend over the next 5 years. I won't do this. I won't give points for people guessing it, but the result, which I thought was a very large number, was on average these folks expect that they have to spend around 400 million, basically just to get up to speed with everything that's going on, not to be leading, but simply just to be able to match what is expected to be the best practice of the current